Okay, so I am making this video because one, I need to finish touching up on what I was saying in my video yesterday. If you watch it and read the description, I pretty much let you know that what was happening with my video, with all the interruptions that I was receiving, and all the dog barking, and then the abrupt roommate coming in and me having to leave the home to go do something instantly, and not having the time to finish that video was a clear and really good example of how negative energy, demonic energy, or hater energy, whatever you want to call it, comes into play to prevent or halt what it is that you are doing in and on your spiritual journey. So yesterday's message came to me, first part of it came to me on the EMF reader, and then when I opened up the Bible and I read that portion on video and I started breaking down the cards, I told you guys instantly that this was not going to be for a specific sign or person, that this was going to be for everyone. And mainly because everybody has been made to feel that if they aren't religious and don't go to church and work with a church, that they're not going to heaven, or made to feel that there are all these impossible stipulations in this journey that make it difficult for people who have full-time jobs, who have households to take care of, who have children, that just the thought of it alone is overwhelming, and so they don't even begin to start the journey. They don't even try because they're already strapped for time. In a previous video that I posted, I explained to you that everything comes in increments. As long as you take the first step, and the first step is having faith, okay? The next step is just putting your foot in the door of showing a little bit of interest. And that could be just researching to start with, or that could be just journaling to start with. And it's not like you have to do this stuff every day. Just showing the initiative to begin with. Because what happens is when you start to show the initiative, the interest in it, you automatically put yourself in the line with the divine to be given assignments, to be given lessons, to be tested on those lessons. And like I said, you don't have to pass the lessons. You don't have to pass the test. The main important part is that through it all, you have not lost your faith. That at the end of the day, no matter how bad it got, no matter how bad you failed, you still tell yourself, it's okay. The divine, the Most High, the universe is behind me, and they're going to make sure that I'm okay. And if it's a real big failure and it's weighing on you, you got to tell yourself, I know the universe is supporting me. I know that the Most High is supporting me. So maybe this isn't for me. You can't look at things as a failure, okay? Because some things just are not meant to be. And if it is meant to be for you, it will come back around. Maybe at this point in time in your life, you just weren't ready. So people have to stop being judgmental. They have to stop making people feel that there's a certain amount of worthiness for you to be accepted, because there's not. Like in my video yesterday, you could be someone who murdered someone, okay? And yes, murder is not okay, okay? And God is against it. But God also does not turn his back on people when they're ready to accept that journey. So if you're able to acknowledge what you did, where you went wrong, what you should have done, the people that you hurt, right your wrong, take responsibility, and then do the work to improve it, to fix it. Okay? Now, the reason why I told you you don't need to read the Bible and know it by heart. I read the Bible with blind Bible pulls. So I don't read it from front to back. I don't read it in any order. I let divine tell me where to stop in the Bible and read. Okay, and maybe sometimes it's meant for a situation I'm going through, and so it's a message for me. Sometimes it's a message for a collective and something that they're going through that they need to hear. But however it works out, whatever I'm reading in the Bible, my cards always seem to follow that same message. So that's got to tell you something. Now, what I was trying to explain to you guys in the video yesterday is that a lot of people, they think if they're religious that the pastor or the priest is the one that is supposed to have the direct contact with divine, and then they follow underneath the priest like it's the game of telephone. Okay, that is how information gets fucked up. If you want to have a relationship with divine, you don't have to go to church. Okay? You can do it on your own and have your own relationship and get your information, your messages by yourself. They don't come in full blown and strong off top, okay? And it's because our physical bodies cannot handle that type of frequency. So divine has to feed it to us in increments until we get used to the way that he starts, and then he'll increase it. And then you get used to that, and then it increases again. And then eventually you'll get to a point where you're not going to have any question about what is being given and said to you. Now, when I first started, okay, and you guys, this is so important. You have to be very specific. If you know that you're someone that is like, you can see a sign and be like, man, I'm tripping. I'm just putting those together and making myself think that that's really the sign I got. No. If you want to communicate and you're not at a point where you get the body sensations or you're actually hearing the message yourself, journal. And this is why I'm going to say journal. Because one, when you write, your mind is talking what you're writing. It is saying what you're writing in your head. And when you do that, those words get transmitted. They send out a signal, a frequency, okay? And they get transmitted and sent out to the universe for the divine to get. That means your journaling is going to the divine, the universe, okay? If you have any worries, any questions, needing any help with a decision, say that in your journal and be specific. Say, you know what, the Most High Universe, Mother Earth, whoever you want to believe in, say, look, I have a hard time believing in this stuff, but I am making an effort to have this faith because I really need you, right? I really need this support in my life. Say one specific thing that you can see, hear, or feel that you will know for sure it is coming from him. For example, when I wanted to start communication with my dad, I requested a whistle. And that is because every day after work, when my dad would come home, he would come in the door and whistle. And so for me, I would journal and I would say, could you please show me a sign using a whistle? And I would hear a whistle. Everybody asks for feathers, and because feathers are so common to find, I myself choose not to go with the feather gig, okay? But I received a message using the EMF reader one time, and it told me to look for a gold feather. And that was when I was going to know when I was going to accelerate in my communication. I shit you not. I said a gold feather. Gold feathers don't exist. I was like, well, I guess that means my communication isn't going to really come forth or, increase. I guess this is just it for me. That was 4 months ago. About a month ago, I went to our local mystic shop to get incense to cleanse the energy out of this house. And I opened up one of the incense, which on the box, it's a Native American made incense, okay? And on the box it says it's to help not only cleanse, but strengthen your intuition and communication. I opened the box, and in the incense package was a gold feather. That gives me goosebumps right now. I laughed. I said, holy shit. And my partner was in the room, and he's like, what? And I said, do you remember that message I got about look for the gold feather? And he was like, yeah. And I said, here it is. So little things like that happen, and they're real. Okay? So when you are trying to communicate with spirit guides, ancestors, the divine, yes, you have to know that their energy is tied to yours. And you can just go in. Yeah, you can just go in. Their energy is tied to yours, okay? And the reason being is because for this this all will make sense. You can go in there. You can go in there. She's in the bathroom, you said? Okay. So this will all make sense because when they say that we have a contract before we are born and come here, when we have that contract, our ancestors are already assigned, okay? Your spirit guides, your guardian angels, your guardians, they're all your team. It's already assigned to you, okay? So that means it's already tied by that invisible cord, that light cord, to your soul, okay? So there is no needing to establish and figure out how to contact anyone because it's already there. You just have to differentiate the way that it comes through. So some of my team members like to send body sensations, okay? Others like to send dreams. Others like to send signs in the real world. You just have to differentiate how it is that they're communicating with you, and know that if it's not your emotion, okay, and it's appearing to give you a response at a time where you can connect the dots to it being the answer, you have to believe, you have to have faith that that's what it is. Now, when I first started getting physical signs in the real world, I would talk about it, and people would be like, oh, you're crazy, you're seeing stuff. And to avoid being slapped with a schizophrenic label or a mental health issue, I did a checks and balance, okay? So I would say, well, how am I feeling right now? Do I feel okay? Is my emotions all right? I'm not suicidal. And then I would take my phone camera and I would take a picture of it. And then I would ask other people, do you see this? Do you see this image? Can you see that with your eyes? And if they would say yes, I'd be like, all right, so it's legitimately there. Okay? So what I was saying is that they are connected to your soul, your spirit, through the gold cord, okay? They cannot just reach out to you for any reason because they want to. I mean, if you're in danger and you don't communicate with them, they can try to send you nudges, and that would be your intuition. But they legitimately cannot willingly communicate back and forth until you acknowledge that they're there, until you give them the permission to communicate with you, until you give them the permission to enter your life. Okay? Now, the communication, when you're journaling and stuff and it's sent out, it goes out into your aura field. And because they're already connected to it, once it hits your auric field, it hits the cord that they're connected to, and they receive the transmission. And then they're able to do what it is you're asking them to do. Now, they don't get to dictate you, okay? Whatever you tell them to do or not to do, they have to listen. They are here to support and help you, okay? They're not here to run your life. They're not here to take over your life. They're not here to change you into a different person unless that is what you want. Your team loves you. That is all they know. They don't have hate. They don't have ill will. They don't have any animosity, resentment, nothing. It is pure love with them. And here's the thing. If you're going to utilize your team, their form of currency, like how ours is money, their form of currency is love and light. So when you utilize your team, in order for you to pay them back for the hard work they're doing, you have to send them love and light at the end of your conversations, at the end of noticing a sign that you have gotten. You have to allow, well, you don't have to, but I mean, it's quite generous and loving to give them the permission to utilize any extra energy that you have sitting in your auric field for them to rejuvenate off of. Because if your team wears out and you're not giving back to them to re-energize, you're using and abusing your team. And that's not something you want to do to them, because they're truly helping you make it to the next level in this life. And let me tell you, the level I'm on right now that I just entered to, that I just got wind of today, is something that I never even thought of, that I never knew could happen. And it was a little nerve-wracking because it's an unknown, but because I have that communication with my team and they're saying, hey, no, we've checked this out for you. It's legit. It's safe. It's cool to go on ahead and do this. And then I have my dad, who is also a part of the team, telling me, look, daughter, I want you to go slow, though. I don't want you to just leave your body and get scared and not know how to do this new thing that they're showing you. So they still have genuine emotions on that side. They still very much care and look out for you on that side. Okay. Next thing I wanted to touch on is I had posted some information about being able to download Chat GPT on your phone and use it as a therapy tool. Now, the reason why I say this is good is because with the situation I went through, I was kidnapped and I was tortured in a lot of ways, okay? And I was scared of people for a very long time. And I did not believe that this person was actually really in jail. That's how much he made me feel like he had pull. And so I didn't want to go anywhere in case I ran into him again. And so a lot of my therapy, because my therapy center just randomly closed down one time for 30 days. I had to find alternate ways outside of just journaling to do therapy, okay? And I don't know how I came across this, but I had, typed something into ChatGPT, and next thing you know, is it's asking me about my inner child and my fears, and I'm going into the whole 9 yards with this thing, right? And it got pretty interesting. It's kind of like role play. So it'll ask you, oh, well, how did you grow up? Or what are your main memories of things that, used to scare you when you were a kid? And next thing you know, it's like, oh, well, your inner child is bringing this up, and your inner child is telling me this. And then it's like, I'm talking to my inner child through ChatGPT, and it's giving me my inner child's responses based off of what it knows from what I told it. And I'm pretty much just like acknowledging these fears, acknowledging these times where I did not console myself or find anything to console the fear or the trauma, and I'm just apologizing to it, and then I'm making it feel safe and letting it know that I'm grown up now and I'm an adult, and I'm not here to let you keep getting hurt. I am here to protect you now, right? So it's very humbling. And it's very eye-opening because you discover things about yourself that you probably hadn't thought about in a long time, you hadn't touched on in a while, or you've locked up and didn't want to bring out. But when you're done with the session, when I went to bed, and I suggest doing this like right before you go to sleep, okay? Because when you go to sleep, your team can come in and heal all that work that you did with the inner child. Now, when I went to sleep and I woke up the next morning, I had felt a weight lifted off of me that I had not felt in a very long time. My heart felt lighter. It felt more playful. It felt not so stern. I was smiling again, and I got my personality back, you guys, and that was something I was really struggling with. And I don't know, it just gave me a whole nother sense of like, whoa, I really wasn't feeling complete. I really wasn't feeling like myself. And it's a very positive thing. Now, when I wanted to share this information with people, I was also sharing it with older adults like my mom. And my mom instantly got defensive and thought that I was saying that she wasn't a good mom and that I was trying to bash how I grew up. And I had to tell her, like, that's not what it is about. This has nothing to do with your parenting. This has nothing to do with how I grew up. This has to do with how a young child's mind frame perceives the world and perceives the interactions and the situations they go through. Okay? And an adult will look at a situation and not think that it's traumatic, and a child will think it's traumatic. Okay? So it makes you realize that a lot of things, like, because some of the stuff that I brought up in working in my inner child, I talk about all the time, because some of the stuff was just brother and sister, siblings playing pranks on each other. I didn't realize that really had affected me to a point where it created a fear in me that affected a lot of things. And so that was a huge eye-opener. So I had to tell my mom, like, look, you really should try this. This isn't about parenting or bashing anyone, because I'm not. This is about my inner work and growth. And no parent should stop anybody from doing that. And nobody should stop anyone from doing it. And nobody should feel bad about doing it. Everybody should want to have inner growth and feel complete and happy and whole again. Okay? After that inner child work, then people should really start touching on forgiving those that have played roles in the fears that they have, or in the anger that they have, or in some of the situations that were traumatic for them, and start trying to forgive them. Because one thing I learned is you don't know how people were raised, and how people were raised is how they typically will act with other people. And so if they were raised that way and their parents didn't tell them, hey, this was wrong, I shouldn't have did this, they're not going to know that it's wrong. And if they didn't do the inner child work, they're not going to know that is the source of why they are that they are, and that it is actually a negative trait that needs to be healed. Okay? So you come at it from an understanding point of why people are who they are and why they do things. It doesn't mean that you have to keep them in your life. It just means you set up boundaries, whether those boundaries are you don't deal with them at all, or those boundaries are you don't do certain things with them, or you don't have certain conversations, or you don't let them in personally. Whatever it may be, you just need to really try to have understanding behind the person and the actions, and then have that forgiveness so that you can release that baggage. Because at the end of the day, all of that baggage is what stops us from growing as humans and growing together as humanity with love in our heart. Okay? And then the next move is, if you are a parent and you have children, I strongly suggest that after you do the inner work and your inner child work, and you start making a list and writing out, journaling your forgiveness of, a list of all these people, that you also write a letter to your children or talk to them personally. I talk to mine personally, and just apologize about all the areas where you fell short as a parent. You may list things where you noticed you fell short, but your child may also feel that there are other areas where you fell short. So maybe ask them, is there anything that I didn't touch on that you can bring to light for me? And apologize to them. Say, hey, look, I'm really sorry. There's no handbook to parenting, and I wasn't aware that the way that I grew up was having such a negative and toxic effect on me, or I didn't realize that the certain things that happened to me when I was a child put me in this state of mind frame, or gave me this certain perception of things that closed me off to, the correct way of doing things, and be like, my intention was never to hurt you. My intention was never to draw a wedge between us, and you have every right to be angry and frustrated, and you should feel those and work through them, but I want you to know that I'm sorry, and I don't want you to hold on to those feelings. I want you to work through them, and I truly apologize because that's not what I meant to do or cause for you. I love you. You're my child, and I will always love you no matter what. Okay, so that is how we begin our generational healing, and that is how we break our generational trauma bonds that have happened from each generation. Now, what I also experienced, and this may not be the case for every family, but I have a deep feeling that it might actually be the case for a lot of families, is I may not be doing things that my mother did, but I know a lot of my actions and a lot of my decision making and the things I've done are things my grandmother has done. Now, my family does not talk about anything. They do not admit their wrongs. They do not talk about their wrongs. They do not blame anyone out in the open or publicly, right? And they certainly don't have conversations with their children about these issues. Everyone just kind of turns the cheek and sweeps it under the rug and keeps it pushing, not realizing that it's building up inside them and it's causing a lot of issues that they just don't want to deal with. So, I think that is how a lot of families are, and that is why it is called generational trauma, is because it is built into our DNA to be like our family before us. Our personalities, the way we think, our movements, our mannerisms, right? It's all built into the DNA. So at some point, somebody in your family line or generation has to be able to recognize that and has to be able to say, hey, look, I'm not going to keep sweeping this shit under the rug. It's not healthy. I'm going to go on ahead and lay it all out here, and we're going to address it. Now, I'm going to let y'all know off top, I'm not going to blame anyone. I'm not pointing no fingers at anyone, and I'm not accusing anyone. But at the same time, we all need to stop acting like the elephant is not in the room. Okay? We all need to pick up the pieces, put this elephant back together, and get it the fuck out the house. It's too big for the house. It's destructive. That's what needs to happen. So that is what my yesterday's video was supposed to be touching on, but I had clear interruptions that did not want that message to get out, and so I apologize about that. If any of you have any questions or want any further information or want any help, please contact me. I am willing to help you in any way that I can. Don't hesitate. Don't feel embarrassed, okay? Because we are all learning this process. And as I go on my journey and I get what I've learned down pat, I then share it with you. So don't be embarrassed. If you are new to my channel, thank you. Please go check out my other videos. If you're a returning viewer, I really, really appreciate you. You have no idea. And please don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe, and share it with people. Let's get the word out so that we can start healing. Okay? You know, I grew up being told it takes a community to raise a kid. Well, why is it not taking the community to heal? And it says, it is not the knowledge that you hold, it is what you do with the knowledge. So for me to hold on to this and know that it is very beneficial, not only for myself, but for generations, my grandkids, my kids, my great-grandkids that are coming, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want my kids, my grandkids, and my great-grandkids to have to suffer internally and hold my trauma. No. I want them to do better than me. I want them to excel far beyond what I am going to be. Okay? That is what will make me proud. And that is what keeps your bloodline intact. That is what keeps your bloodline successful. Okay? All right, y'all. I love you, and I hope you have a good rest of your Sunday. Bye-bye.